Now today on the streets of social media, there was a video that was trending of quite a number of trucks having the ONVO L60 ready to being delivered in various destinations in China. This is something that is pretty exciting, and it shows us that we need to brace ourselves for what's coming, because based on the comments that the Nio CEO said on the video where we were discussing about gross margins, he said they are looking at increasing the production capacity more onto the sub brand and make sure that Nio be the one that keep the decent gross margin, which this month, like we read or like we discussed, it appears that the gross margins on the Nio models were around 14%, which is something that is massive, something that is bullish, and we want to see that. So these pictures shows us that from now on, in the near future, chances are we're going to see Nio selling more of ONVO than of Nio, because Nio, they want to make sure that they maintain a pretty solid gross margins, whilst on the other hand, they are selling more of the ONVO L60. So this is something that is pretty exciting, because you know that for the ONVO L60 Nio, what they are targeting is to get to 15% gross margins, and they said they'll be able to achieve that when they get to 20,000 on a month to month. So ONVO, as it stands, once it gets to 20,000, they'll be able to get 15% gross margins, which when you add that to the kind of gross margins that Nio will be having, I think it will be pretty solid, and it will take Nio, or it will be the one thing that take Nio to profitability, which is something that excites us as the investors. So yes, ONVO right now, this is what we are seeing. The Nio, the ONVO president, it looks like he's extremely busy making sure that ONVO delivers as many vehicles as possible. I mean, you know that for the month of October, ONVO sold 4,319, which is better than the 832 we saw for the month of September, which is bullish, which is massive. And as we have started the month of November right now, I can tell you that the deliveries are going to become more. We are going to sell more, because Nio and ONVO continue increasing the production capacity of ONVO, but at the same time wanting to also maintain a good gross margin for the Nio main brand models, which is something that is good, something that is pretty exciting. I mean, it was good that though Nio sold just over 16,000 cars, they managed to make 100 million more than the gross or the profits they made from the 20,300 they had sold in September. This is amazing, man. This is bullish for Nio, and hopefully things continue looking better also in terms of the gross margins, because as investors we want gross margins to continue improving, and Nio coming out with a strategy of cutting down incentives, discounts on their main brand to make sure that gross margins goes higher. It is something that is pretty exciting. So yes, man, ONVO will continue doing well. ONVO will continue selling good numbers, and by March of next year, you know that ONVO is going to reach 20,000 production capacity, which is something that is massive bullish onto Nio. I mean, you know that the Nio brand sell premium cars, whilst ONVO sells family-oriented electric vehicles, which is something that shows you that Nio wants to make sure that they categorize or they strategize when it comes to the cars which they sell, which is massive, which is bullish, and I suppose it will unlock quite a number of sales, because when you don't have enough money to buy Nio, you can go for an ONVO. So yeah, man, the future looks bright. I think it's always good to see this kind of videos, this kind of pictures coming from ONVO, because ONVO, there's quite a lot which as investors we are expecting from Nio. We know that not so many people can afford Nio cars, which is why it will be very difficult for Nio to get to the maybe 40,000, 30,000 deliveries on a month to month, because Nio cars are not cheap, and therefore they cannot be afforded by anyone. But ONVO, it's a mass market brand that can be afforded by quite a number of people, and therefore Nio can target 30,000 there, 40,000 there. It can be easy for Nio to generate those figures, those units on a month to month, because it can be afforded by quite a number of people, whilst Nio on the other side, it cannot be afforded by just anyone. I mean, starting price of Nio, it's around $42,000, whilst the starting price of ONVO, it's just below $30,000, which shows you that, of course, the difference between the two cars, it means that even the people that afford these cars, we will have more people that afford ONVO than that afford, of course, the Nio cars. This is something that is taking place, and knowing that ONVO, what the Nio CEO just said today, of saying they are looking at increasing more production capacity, or making sure that they sell many cars on ONVO and Firefly, but with Nio they just want to make sure that they maintain the gross margin. It's something that is pretty exciting, something that is good to see, or to hear this coming from the Nio CEO. So tell me what you think about this, man. Blue sky is coming. I know some of the new investors are sad about the kind of deliveries we saw Nio giving us today, but the good thing, or what we took, something good that we took from that, is that gross margins, because of those lower sales, Nio was able to make 100 million RMB more as compared to September, which is something that is bullish, something that is massive, and hopefully this gets to improve Nio's financials, Nio's earnings, which is bullish, which is massive. So tell me what you think about this, man. I mean, one of the things that we are seeing onto the new energy vehicle cars is that gross margins continue dropping because of the incentives, the discounts which they are offering. And Nio, it's saying, you know what, we are not going to do that anymore with the Nio brand. We are going to maintain pretty solid gross margins while we make sure that this ONVO Firefly, our sub brand, sell as many vehicles as possible, which this will not only help in Nio generating more revenues coming from their mass market brands, but it will make sure that the gross margin stays up there, because with Nio they won't compromise that much, or they will not be compromising that much, because they want to make sure that gross margins remain stable. So tell me what you think about this. Blue sky is coming, long term will win. That's all from me, and God bless you all.